I'm sure I'm not solely, but
Right.
I did meet Axl in a couple of clubs a year ago and 2 years ago and 3 years ago.
After 5 decades as a rock icon, Steven Tyler is bidding farewell. The legendary Aerosmith frontman, once thought to be unstoppable, is now confronting the most difficult decision of his life following a severe vocal cord diagnosis. "I told him, you need to get the band back together soon, everyone misses you. It reminded me of what someone once said when Joe and I were at odds. Would you do this for Led Zeppelin? Get Jimmy Page and Robert Plant to reunite. I made the effort." Behind closed doors, doctors delivered life-altering news as fans watched tour dates being cancelled and Tyler undergoing treatment. But the truth remained hidden. Now, at 76, he's finally made a heartbreaking decision that's sending shockwaves through the rock world. Steven Tyler's story began in Yonkers, New York. Born on March 26, 1948, in Manhattan, he was the son of Susie Blanchard, a secretary, and Victor Tallarico, a classical musician and pianist who taught music. Victor's talent had a profound influence on Steven from a young age. He would watch, mesmerized, as his father played piano, an experience that sparked his own musical aspirations. Yet Victor wasn't just a source of inspiration, he was strict, insisting on discipline and excellence. In contrast, his mother offered warmth and freedom, nurturing him in a more gentle way. Steven faced academic challenges due to severe ADHD, which made school difficult. Everything changed when music came into his life. Listening to the Rolling Stones' Walking the Dog ignited a passion that resonated deeply within him. When he expressed interest in music, his father was hesitant but still taught him music theory, melody, and rhythm, skills that would later become essential to Aerosmith's signature sound. During high school, Tyler formed his first band, The Strangers, later known as Chain Reaction. They played local gigs and even opened for major acts like the Beach Boys and the Yardbirds. These early performances gave him a glimpse into the life he dreamed of, the adrenaline of performing and the connection with the crowd. It was everything he longed for. As Tyler honed his style during those early years, he became more than a singer, he was a performer. Inspired by rock legends like Mick Jagger, Roger Daltrey, and Robert Plant, he crafted a stage presence that was uniquely his own. The scarves that became his trademark began as a simple fix to stop his microphone stand from slipping. Soon, one scarf turned into many, and a rock legend was born. Though music was always his true calling, Tyler briefly attended the Leonard Quintano School for Young Professionals in New York. The performing arts school provided him with formal vocal training, though he would go on to develop a style that was completely original. His instructors saw his potential but worried about how much strain he placed on his vocal cords, an issue that would come back decades later. Still, the road to success was far from immediate. After graduating high school, Tyler drifted from one band to another in search of the right fit, but none seemed to click. Everything changed in 1970 during a visit to an ice cream parlor in SUNY, New Hampshire. There, he saw a local group called the Jam Band perform, and he was instantly captivated by their guitarist, Joe Perry. Tyler was struck by Perry's raw skill and magnetic stage presence. It was surprising that a small resort town like Sype could be the setting for what would become one of America's most iconic rock bands. Tyler was spending the summer working at a local ice cream shop, a job arranged by his parents in hopes of instilling some responsibility in their free-spirited son. Coincidentally, Perry was also employed at the same establishment, washing dishes as a seasonal worker. Their paths crossed at the perfect moment. Tyler had no idea that this chance meeting would alter the course of rock music. After the show, he introduced himself to Perry, and the two quickly realized they shared a passion for similar musical styles and ambitions. Together with bassist Tom Hamilton, they formed a new band. Joey Kramer soon joined as the drummer, followed by Ray Tabano, who was later replaced by Brad Whitford on rhythm guitar. They named the band Aerosmith, a name that came to Tyler while listening to Harry Nilsson's album Aerial Ballet. Their first official performance took place on November 6, 1970, at Nipmuc Regional High School in Mendon, Massachusetts. The audience was small, but the energy they brought to the stage was unmistakable. They earned just $50 for the gig, but money wasn't their motivation. It marked the start of something much greater. The band moved into a tiny apartment at 1325 Commonwealth Avenue in Boston. The cramped living conditions fueled both creativity and conflict. They rehearsed, lived, and partied together in the same space, forging the chemistry that would define their music. Tyler later reflected on those early days with mixed emotions, fondness for the raw creativity, but also memories of hunger and poverty. Over the next 2 years, Aerosmith tirelessly built their name by performing across Boston. They played anywhere that would take them: high schools, bars, and small venues. This constant exposure helped them refine their sound and sharpen their stage presence. Tyler's voice grew stronger with each show, characterized by its unique blend of soaring high notes and gritty bluesy tones that made him stand out among other rock vocalists. Despite his wild stage persona, Tyler became known within the band as a perfectionist. He took rehearsals seriously and expected the same level of commitment from his bandmates, which sometimes led to frustration. This drive for excellence became both a defining strength and a source of tension within Aerosmith. In 1972, their dedication finally paid off. Columbia Records executive Clive Davis saw them perform at Max's Kansas City in New York and was instantly impressed. He offered them a recording contract, and their debut album, Aerosmith, was released on January 5, 1973. Though it didn't find immediate commercial success, it featured songs like Dream On, which highlighted Tyler's vocal prowess and hinted at the band's immense potential. Interestingly, Tyler had written Dream On years earlier, at just 17 years old, on a piano in his family's vacation home in Sunapee, New Hampshire. The emotional intensity of the song and Tyler's remarkable falsetto set it apart from the rest of their debut album. Although it didn't chart highly at first, it would eventually become one of their most iconic tracks. In their early days, the band drew significant influence from blues rock legends like the Rolling Stones and the Yardbirds. Many critics saw them as mere copycats and were quick to dismiss Aerosmith. These harsh comparisons deeply affected Tyler, who was determined to create a sound that was uniquely theirs. He encouraged the band to experiment with diverse rhythms and vocal techniques, steadily shaping the distinct style that would later define them. Their breakthrough came with their second album, Get Your Wings, produced by Bob Ezrin and Jack Douglas. Released in March 1974, it included future staples such as Same Old Song and Dance and Train Kept a Rolling. However, it was their third album, Toys in the Attic, 1975, that catapulted them to stardom. Featuring hits like Sweet Emotion and Walk This Way, the album helped establish their signature sound. By 1976, Aerosmith had become one of America's biggest rock bands. Their fourth album, Rocks, confirmed their place in rock history, with Rolling Stone later ranking it among the greatest albums ever. Their soaring fame translated into larger venues and an intense touring schedule, with their concerts becoming known for Tyler's electrifying stage presence and the band's tight performances. With fame came indulgence. The late 1970s saw the band, especially Tyler and Perry, fall heavily into substance abuse. The duo earned the nickname Toxic Twins due to their legendary excesses. Tyler later revealed he had spent over $2 million on drugs during this time. His addictions to heroin, cocaine, and alcohol started to impair his performances and strain his relationships within the band. The constant drug use also took a toll on his vocal cords, drying them out and making them more vulnerable to damage. He developed nodules, hardened growths that can significantly affect vocal quality, but continued to perform relentlessly, worsening the condition. This pattern of abuse would have long-lasting consequences. By 1979, the situation had become unsustainable. At a concert in Cleveland, tensions boiled over backstage when Perry's wife threw a glass of milk at Tom Hamilton's wife, leading to a chaotic altercation. Not long after, Perry left the band, and Brad Whitford would follow in 1981. Although Aerosmith continued with replacement members, the chemistry was no longer the same, and their popularity suffered. Albums like Night in the Ruts, 1979, and Rock in a Hard Place, 1982, failed to live up to earlier successes. Critics were unforgiving, and fans began to lose interest. Tyler's deepening drug dependency made him increasingly unreliable, sometimes causing him to collapse on stage or forget lyrics. The band, once hailed as America's answer to the Rolling Stones, now risked becoming a cautionary example of rock excess gone wrong. Tyler's personal life mirrored his professional turmoil. In 1977, he married model Serinda Fox, and they had a daughter named Mia. However, their marriage was plagued by his substance abuse and infidelity, leading to their divorce in 1987. In 1978, Tyler fathered another daughter, Liv, with model Bebe Buell, though he didn't learn of her existence until she was 8 years old. To shield Liv from the harsh reality of Tyler's drug addiction, Buell told her that rock star Todd Rundgren was her father. The truth came to light unexpectedly during a Rundgren concert, where Tyler noticed a young girl in the crowd who bore a striking resemblance to him and his other daughter. Upon discovering that Liv was his child, Tyler was determined to be a part of her life, despite his continuing battles with addiction. Over time, their relationship grew stronger, eventually becoming one of the most meaningful connections in his life. A major turning point occurred in 1984 after a performance in Springfield, Illinois, when Tyler collapsed on stage, unable to go on. This alarming incident prompted him to enter rehab. It was a difficult journey, but he was committed to sobriety. That same year, Joe Perry, who had also struggled with his own demons, rejoined the band. Brad Whitford followed in 1985. Tyler's road to recovery was long and filled with setbacks. He relapsed several times, but always found the strength to try again. He later described getting sober as the most difficult challenge of his life, more taxing than writing music, performing, or even enduring physical injuries. But he stayed the course, driven by the desire to rebuild his career and be a present father. The band's comeback was solidified with the 1987 release of Permanent Vacation, which featured hits like Dude, Looks Like a Lady, and Angel. They followed up with Pump in 1989, including tracks like Love in an Elevator and Janie's Got a Gun, and then Get a Grip in 1993, which gave fans Crazy, Crying, and Amazing. These albums brought Aerosmith to a new generation, bolstered by iconic music videos starring rising stars like Alicia Silverstone and Liv Tyler. Their 1986 collaboration with Run DMC on the revamped Walk This Way was groundbreaking. It bridged the gap between rock and rap, two genres that had rarely crossed paths before, and introduced Aerosmith to a broader audience. For Tyler, it symbolized a new era of creativity and adaptability that would define the band's later years. Behind the scenes, Tyler took proactive steps to care for his voice during the band's resurgence. He worked with vocal coaches and adopted a pre-show regimen that included steam therapy and vocal exercises. Understanding the physical toll of rock performances, he adjusted his technique and embraced healthier habits, though his path to sobriety remained uneven. Throughout the 1990s and 2000s, Aerosmith upheld their reputation as one of rock's greatest live acts. Tyler's high-energy performances, always featuring his trademark microphone scarves, became legendary. He seemed unstoppable, rebounding from multiple injuries, including a fall from the stage in 2009 that broke his shoulder, and a 2011 hotel bathroom accident that knocked out 2 teeth and left him with a black eye. These incidents reflected not just misfortune, but Tyler's relentless drive. While many of his peers toned down their performances with age, he refused to slow down despite pushing himself to the limit. He continued running across the stage, performing his trademark microphone stand tricks, and hitting the soaring high notes that had brought him fame decades earlier. In 2010, Tyler surprised his fans by becoming a judge on American Idol. While some rock purists viewed this as selling out, Tyler considered it a chance to connect with a younger audience. Over his 2 seasons on the show, he won viewers over with his vibrant personality and heartfelt support for aspiring singers. He also used the opportunity to promote his memoir, Does the Noise in My Head Bother You?, which became a New York Times bestseller. The book unveiled many previously unknown aspects of his life: his battle with hepatitis C, diagnosed in 2003 and treated over nearly a year, numerous foot surgeries resulting from his high-energy performances, and his ongoing struggle with addiction, including a relapse and return to rehab in 2009. These revelations painted a more human portrait of the rock icon, exposing the toll his decades-long career had taken on his body and mind. Yet through all of it, Tyler's voice remained impressively strong, until recently. In April 2023, Aerosmith announced their Peace Out Farewell Tour. After 5 decades, they were ready to bid fans goodbye with one last North American tour. It was set to begin on September 2, 2023, with stops in cities like Philadelphia, Chicago, Detroit, Cleveland, and Boston. The news came after years of rumors about the band's future. Tyler had hinted at retirement before, acknowledging that touring was becoming increasingly taxing. "I'm 75, he said in one interview. "I can still hit all the notes, but it takes a lot more out of me now." Still, he was determined to give fans one final, unforgettable performance. The band went into intense preparation mode. Tyler started working with his vocal coach months ahead of time, focusing on vocal strength and preservation. They spent weeks rehearsing and curating a set list that would span their entire career. Special stage elements were planned to make this tour their most spectacular ever. Everything appeared ready for a grand finale, but something felt off. During rehearsals, Tyler's voice began to falter. He found it hard to reach notes that once came effortlessly. At first, everyone assumed it was just overuse from rehearsing. They hoped rest would help, but it didn't. On September 2, 2023, just hours before their opening show in Philadelphia, Tyler injured his voice during final rehearsals. His voice cracked on a high note, and he felt sharp pain. The band had no choice but to postpone their first few shows. In an official statement, they explained that Tyler had suffered a vocal cord injury and needed time to heal. Doctors diagnosed him with vocal cord strain, a common condition for singers, usually treatable with rest. The band pushed the postponed shows to January and February 2024, hopeful that Tyler would make a full recovery. He strictly followed medical advice, maintaining complete vocal rest and undergoing frequent checkups to monitor his condition behind the scenes. There was growing concern among doctors. After a series of thorough tests, they delivered an alarming diagnosis. Steven Tyler had suffered a fractured larynx. This would be a serious issue for any singer, but for a 75-year-old rock legend who had strained his voice for over 50 years, it was potentially the end of his career. The larynx, or voice box, houses the vocal cords, which produce sound as air passes through them. An injury to this sensitive structure can drastically impact a person's ability to speak, let alone sing with the power and range Tyler was known for. Though rare, such injuries are not unheard of in the music industry. Artists like Adele and Sam Smith have dealt with vocal cord problems requiring surgery and long recoveries. However, they were much younger, and their bodies could heal more easily. At Tyler's age, the outlook was far less optimistic. On September 11, 2023, Aerosmith postponed the remainder of their tour, rescheduling for early 2024. As doctors continued to monitor Tyler's condition, the news became increasingly discouraging. The damage to his vocal cords turned out to be more severe than initially believed, and despite top-tier medical attention, his recovery was not progressing as hoped. During this period, the band faced a tough decision. Should they carry on the farewell tour with a replacement singer? The idea was swiftly rejected. Joe Perry summed it up: "There is no Aerosmith without Steven Tyler." They had begun their journey together 5 decades ago and agreed they would only end it the same way, together. Emotions ran high in their discussions. Some members wanted to wait, hoping Tyler could recover enough to perform in some capacity. Others felt it was better to be truthful with their fans than to give them false hope. Tyler wrestled with the situation, swinging between a fierce resolve to recover and a reluctant acceptance of what was beginning to look inevitable. Then, on December 1, 2023, the band issued a heartbreaking announcement: the Peace Out tour was officially cancelled. Despite tireless efforts to heal, doctors concluded that Tyler's vocal damage was more serious than originally thought. His voice, as fans knew it, might not return for a long time, if ever. The statement read, "We never want to give you anything less than the best show. Your tickets will be refunded at the point of purchase." The band expressed deep sorrow, saying the farewell tour had been meant as a celebration with their incredible fans who had supported them for 50 years. The love and loyalty shown over the decades meant everything to them. The news devastated fans who had followed Aerosmith throughout their legendary career. Many had already secured tickets, hoping for one last live experience. Instead, they were denied the chance to say a proper goodbye. Social media platforms were quickly filled with heartfelt messages, some full of support, others expressing disappointment. Longtime followers shared stories of past concerts, photos of cherished memorabilia, and personal reflections on how the band's music had touched their lives. Fellow musicians and celebrities also offered tributes and well wishes for Tyler's recovery. This wasn't the first health battle Tyler had faced. In 2006, he revealed he had been diagnosed with hepatitis C and had undergone treatment. In 2019, after more than 9 years of sobriety, he suffered a relapse and checked himself into rehab. Over the years, he has also undergone multiple surgeries due to injuries sustained from performing, including operations on his knees and feet. The tour's cancellation has raised questions about Aerosmith's future. While the band has not officially declared retirement, this setback could signal the end of their performing days. The group had already experienced another shift when drummer Joey Kramer stepped back from touring in 2022, with his son Jesse filling in. Even so, their remarkable longevity stands out in an industry often marked by burnout and breakdowns. For 50 years, the core lineup, Tyler, Perry, Hamilton, Whitford, and Kramer, remained mostly intact, overcoming addiction, internal strife, and shifting musical landscapes. Few bands, in any genre, have maintained such stability amid the chaos of rock and roll. Their final message said it best: "We've shared our lives with you since 1970, and we're deeply grateful for the love and support you've given us. Our love to you all." For a group that urged fans to not miss a thing, the sudden end of their live performances means many missed out on their final goodbye. Yet, their music and memories endure, and Steven Tyler's voice will continue to resonate through generations, whether or not he ever returns to the stage.